July 11, 2019. So
Let me plug in. Can't hear anything. Okay, everybody, and welcome back. Take a look at a freeway exit right here. Boy, to me, this picture just shouts Indiana. But Syleste, what do you see?
So we have a lot of people chiming in the chat.
Good.
B. Miguel says Colorado.
Okay.
Angela Bronkelman says Tennessee. We've got a Texas coming from Husky Mom. We've got an Iowa from Frankie D. Louis Gonzalez says Oklahoma. And we also have a Kansas from both Linda Monterth and Johnny. High Fives Johnny, I think, is your handle. And Susan Anthony says Tennessee. So we've got some good guesses out there.
High Five Johnny, is he new with us?
He's got like an emoji in his name.
Okay.
It's H, and I think it's a hand.
Okay.
Apostrophe S Johnny exclamation point.
Love it. All right. High Five Johnny. Welcome aboard. Everybody in the chat, you get a chance to introduce yourselves to one of our newest commentators.
Oh, we have an Indiana from Lil Philosophy.
Oh, wait. No. I got Johnny figured out. It's an ear.
Oh, it's an ear.
So it's here's Johnny.
Oh, gotcha.
Remember like the old Carson show?
Yes.
Here's Johnny. Okay,
Oh,
Johnny,
okay.
we got you figured out. By the way, tell us where you are watching from today, Johnny. We always love to know. Anyway, so I'm still sticking with Indiana. What's your
Okay.
guess?
I'm gonna go with Kansas. I'll go with Here's Johnny with Kansas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here
okay.
it comes, everybody.
Here is your mystery camera. Fallon, Illinois.
Really?
Yeah. So you were close.
Okay.
You and whoever,
Indiana. Yeah, right
with an
next door.
I. Yeah, absolutely.
I keep
You
telling
and Low
Celeste we
Philosophy.
need to play Price is Right rules closest without going over,
Yes, so true.
right?
Right.
So what's closest to Indiana?
Illinois.
Hey, Celeste, guess who's close to us on the show today?
Who's that?
We are going to bring in, it's a rare get for our morning show. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Nielsen joins us from the news car. Hey, buddy, you had a chance to interview. If there was a category,
Take it right now. Like, Carter, come here. No.
Oh, we have another Zoom being set up right now. Hold on, Steve.
Okay.
Stand by, buddy.
If there was a category of famous people that have been, I don't know what I'm hearing.
Ron, this is
what are
what
we
it,
hearing?
this is what it feels like, Ron, when you're a house full of kids.
Let's scoot you guys over more this way. That way. This
I
way,
don't know.
guys.
Anyway, Steve, do you hear a lady talking or can you hear us?
I can hear you now. How you doing?
Okay, great. Keep your fingers crossed because here we go. Anyway, there is a guy who is, over the annals of sports is going to go down as one of the most significant players of any sport in our generation. His name is Grant House. You actually interviewed Grant House because a lawsuit that's been going on forever has finally wrapped up. And tell us what you learned from him.
It's not going to be like a one at a time. Trip, move over to Carter, babe. Carter, put the leg back in.
Yeah, so I talked with Grant House. It was an incredibly interesting conversation. He's an ASU swimmer, was a swimmer a few years back there at ASU, and he just felt like it was wrong that, these players are playing for the universities and there's no revenue sharing there. It's just the scholarship that they're getting. Everyone's been talking about NIL forever for these last few years. This is a whole different thing. This isn't NIL. This is direct pay from the universities sharing in that revenue. And so this lawsuit that's been huge, enormous, just changes the landscapes of every college athlete for forever now. It's called House v. NCAA, but no one really knows who the House part of this thing is. I was talking to someone recently. They assumed it was for the House of Representatives. I was like, no, not only is House for Grant House, this is an ASU swimmer.
Yeah.
This is a local story right here in our backyard. And he's an incredible swimmer. He's trying right now to qualify for the LA Olympics. coming up in 2028. So he wants to be on Team USA. He's a fantastic swimmer. But he's sort of been anonymous through this whole process. So I tracked him down. He was great. My first message with him, he sent me a good hashtag forks up. So I knew he was an ASU guy.
Oh, that Sun Devil connection. Hey, I'm going to play just a little bit of your interview with him, and then let's talk some more. Hang on. Here we go.
9:15 on Friday night, as I was preparing for my last day of World Championship trials, he came sprinting out of the hotel door that I just closed, and just with a big smile said that the settlement got approved. So we were both pretty speechless and just really excited for the future of college sports to finally have a path that we can all productively and successfully move down together, rather than being in this unknown, in between, limbo, ambiguous path that we didn't know until Judge Wilkins made an official ruling. I think it's, my role. I just wanted to step forward to have courage for college athletes. It's not all just about NIL. It's about, rewriting the DNA of college sports so athletes have ownership of their story, can take ownership of whatever their namesake is, support for their future, and have a real seat at the table of what they're doing and what they're accomplishing and what they're bringing in for the schools around them. So it's really an exciting point for me to have this greater sense of belonging, to be contributing to something beyond, much bigger than myself, much bigger than my career, that'll stretch much further past my athletic career and my lifetime as well too. I see that.
So my advice, by the way, to Steve is hold on to that interview, because seriously, this is a legal case that people are going to be talking about 40, 50 years from now.
Well, and it has so many different elements. Of course, it's great for like the swimmer, right?
Sure.
And a lot of other athletes, but you have some of the things that have been incorporated by this lawsuit, like roster limits, which is affecting a lot of different sports across the board.
Yeah, a football team used to be able to have 125 guys on it if they want. Now they have a strict 85-man roster limit, but you can allow some walk-ons. The bottom line is every school is going to be allowed to pay up to and possibly over $20.5 million per year. When we did the story this morning, Anita turned to me and said, per player? $20 million per every no,
that would be great if that was the case.
For that whole university, whether it's your school, ASU, or my school, the University of Washington, you get that $20 million chunk that you can then spread around, which, by the way, the vast majority comes in from football, so mostly it'll be a lot of football players making pretty good money. Women's basketball, men's basketball, and we'll take it from there. But Steve, just to wrap up with you, my friend, what's he doing now, and how will this personally change things for him?
Well, I think it's important to point out, he talked about the courage part of this thing. I think a lot of people would say, what's the courage in, joining a class action lawsuit? Because his name was on this thing, he told me he got death threats. This has been going on for years now, and there hasn't always been a lot of support behind this at different parts, especially pre-NIL days when this was a foreign concept for a college player to be making money. So I do think there was a lot of courage for him to put his name on this, and he kind of wanted to remain a little anonymous as he was continuing on with his career here. The reason I was talking to him on Zoom was because he's up in Cincinnati right now. He just competed in the Nationals up there to be a part of the Team USA for the Pan America Games.
Wow.
And he told me he missed out by this much. That was what he showed me, this much on making Team USA for the LA Olympics. But he said, there's still a whole bunch of other qualifying events that'll happen going forward. Guys will retire, things like that. So he feels pretty good. He's going to have a shot.
Yeah, that's great. And he made legal history too. Steve, appreciate your time. By the way, Steve's in the news car heading to another story today. Watch for him later today on Fox 10. Thank you, buddy.
Bye, Steve.
Thanks.
All right, Syleste, we have a real treat now. So Devin Booker he's got to be one of the most popular players in the NBA. And he went to Flagstaff.
Yes.
He was out golfing the other day. And then this Instagram post started circulating as he was stopped in a golf cart, not by local police or even the course ranger, by a bunch of young fans who could not believe that the superstar was right in their midst. So We are going to tell you that story right now. Look, here's all these kids who are now personal best friends with Devin Booker. I don't know who wants to go first, you guys. Anybody speak up. Okay, number one for Kentucky. How did it happen, and what did you guys say to him?
So it started with one of my friends' moms went on a golf cart ride, and we saw him on hole 12, and then we stopped and saw him on hole 17, and then it was really nice to stop, and he started signing all of our stuff.
Oh my goodness. And you guys happened to be wearing some of you were wearing Booker, jerseys, right? So what was he stopped and did you guys run up and he kind of, started signing those jerseys? And what'd you guys do? I saw the video. You guys were screaming and all kinds of fun stuff.
Well, when he stopped on the golf cart, it was an amazing experience. He's one of the nicest players in the NBA, probably the nicest, and the best. And it was just an amazing experience to meet him.
Oh, by the way, we're showing our audience here the golf cart and you guys right there, and everybody signed the autograph. Who got the most? Look at that. Look at everybody. He's like,
so
there's
great.
No way I'm escaping this. Mom, tell us a little bit about how the whole thing came together and what the kids were saying afterwards.
Well, like he said, one of the moms from here, from these kids, she was taking her dog for a walk, saw him on one of the holes, kind of alerted us. And then they went and got everything they owned that was Booker. They got shoes, they got jerseys, they got cards, and then me, the stalker mom, went and found him. We waited on a street crossing, so we weren't actually interrupting him like during a backswing or anything crazy like that. But yeah, that was it. And then we just waited there till he came. And funny thing was, he pulled out his phone and took a picture of them for video. Sure, as soon as he pulled up and saw them also. But he was amazing. He was really, really.
Well, I feel like the kids are getting their 15 minutes of fame right now. So let's go right down the row, first row and second row. Tell us your name, and then we got to head to a commercial break. Who are you guys? Go for it.
My name is Carter.
My name is Trit. I'm Oliver Kakwani.
My name's Luca.
My name's Noelle. My name's Elisa. I'm Juliet Kakwani.
My name is Callan.
Oh, you guys are awesome. And Larissa, I know that's you right there. So all the kids, raise your hand if you're a super fan for the Phoenix Suns. Oh, here we go.
That is unanimous.
We got two hands up for some of them.
You can't get a poll in America today that's unanimous. That one just was. You guys are so cool. I hope you have a great summer up there in Flagstaff. And boy, do you have some stories to tell to the kids when you get going back in the school year. Congratulations.
Wave. Bye. Good to see you guys. So awesome. Isn't that so great?
And a big shout out to Trenton, our producer Trenton, who set that whole thing up.
Thank you.
All right. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Looks like a pretty nice day at the beach right there, Celeste, doesn't it?
Yes. What is this? Ripley's Believe It or Not, apparently, on the water.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if we have like hookups happening in the chat or what's going on.
What?
We have people asking people, what are you doing? When are we going to get together? What's happening? Oh, now I'm learning. Linda Monter said it's a meetup to go to a dispensary.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Well, we love the fact that it's, what do we call it, Ron? The nicest chat on YouTube.
On the internet.
On the internet.
That is correct.
Yeah. Somebody says, I'm straight. The other person said, I'm a girl. Or, it's like, what's happening? Anyways, everybody's invited. It's a very friendly chat.
Yeah, it is. Hey, and guess what's going to make the chat box happy?
Big D.
Big D. Yeah, that's
Big
right.
D.
He's raising the roof. All right. So Dave here is our executive producer. I mean, from the minute he hits the door, he's making plays to make this
Working magic.
streaming show work as well as it does. But then when we go on the air at 11, he's interacting with you guys with some of your comments. So, Dave, I'm going to show everybody. Here's where we are on the poll question. Actually, the numbers are staying pretty consistent now, about 73 to 27, that people do not agree what Gavin Newsom had to say. And let me just pop over and take a look on YouTube. I'm going to let Brian do that. Yeah, ENG25, Brian. Well, we can refresh before the end of the show, maybe. And I'll bet you we're up to 500 votes on it already. But, Dave, what have you been seeing in the chat?
Well, like you said, it's the nicest chat, but it's also the most thoughtful. There are people on all sides, which is really, really cool.
I'll hold this for you.
Oh, thank you, friend. This is so great. So,
it's like Dave in concert.
Enjoy. So Larry Hicks 903 mentions January 6th, or am I the only one who remembers when Trump did nothing for hours? Do throw any BS conspiracy theories out there. He's doing this in part to deflect, as usual. Release the unredacted Epstein tapes. Thought that was very, very interesting. This one says, Trump from DR Detroit 11, Trump created this issue and inflamed the issue to divert us away from that bill and his past. But then Gary Castronova 7939 says, Democrats running away, barking with their tails between their legs. Newsom and Bass humiliated that Trump's decision, nipped the riots in the bud. And yeah, this is perfect. Yeah, everybody really, really thoughtful responses. So keep commenting and keep the votes coming.
Love it.
All right, love it.
Okay,
that's Big D.
Yeah. All right, Dave, thank you very much. I'm just going to communicate with Brian, our director. If you've got the Ohio police chase, Bri, I'm going to let you roll that because, Celeste, this was one of the weirdest police chases. Guy just happens to be hauling lumber.
What is happening?
And those are not inexpensive 2x8s right there, or 2x6s. But he starts throwing out the lumber. Maybe it's stolen. I don't know for sure, but boom, right there is where he ends up crashing into 2 or 3 cars. And, the police were right on his tail. I'm not quite sure why they didn't just jump in there. And he was going the wrong way and do a pit maneuver. But then look right here. They're faking.
Oh, my goodness.
They're first faking like they're going to give up. But no, they separate into different areas. And that looked like the cheese rollers, Celeste, back in the UK. The one guy, they both got down off the hill. Oh, no, there's going to be some injuries related here. Oh, there's a fence line they didn't even see. Crazy.
Oh, my. What a mess.
Yeah. Okay, so this happened in Ohio, and everything about what these guys did is wrong. I don't know if it's a stolen truck or not.
Oh, and the police. You see the police? They've sped up, and then they saw that, okay, this is not going to go well.
Right.
And then they slowed down a bit.
The thing about it, and you wonder now, why was that one vehicle coming for him straight on? Did you happen to notice that?
Yeah, they did not slow down.
He was not driving in a lane. He was all the way over on the shoulder. Maybe that was another police vehicle who thought, we got to stop it right now. When it gets into a wrong-way driver situation, and then there go the somersaults and the tumbles. But my understanding is that the 4 people who tried to run away were eventually caught.
Fortunately.
Not
very smart.
All right. So I think we're just going to move on in order here because we do have the story of the lady who I think she got kicked off a Zoom call because the judge is very important, very serious when you're on with the judge. Here's the judge in Detroit. Now watch. Here's the cutaway of the lady.
What is she? Is she making a PB&J?
I just love this judge. I already know we want to get this judge his own show. He looks up and he's like, are you making a peanut butter sandwich right now? This is not appropriate.
Oh, and then she shows her daughter.
She's like, look, I'm just trying to get my daughter fed. And
and then what was she being seen for? Do we know if it was a traffic accident or
I don't know.
Or traffic citation?
Would this be too risky? Look, it's a streaming show. We do stuff on the fly. I'm going to ask Brian. Brian, you can give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Do we happen to have any sound on this? Could we try, if I had you punch it up once more, can we listen to what's actually being said or not? Let's try it.
Miss Outerbridge, paper, Miss Outerbridge.
Yes, I did. Right. So when I called,
no, we can't talk at the same time.
Well, I apologize for being late. Excuse me.
Oh, he was not happy. He was not happy.
You asked me a question.
Okay, all right, we got it.
Little philosophy.
Anyway.
Little philosophy said, "When the kids gotta eat."
Correct.
You know.
Holy cow! I don't know about you, Celeste. How many kids were there in your family when you were growing up?
Oh, my grandmother took care of all of me and my cousins, so maybe 10.
Wow. See, I grew up, it's just my sister and me, but my wife Renee, she grew up in a family of 7 kids, and when the kids gotta eat,
they gotta eat.
Everything else comes to a
Although
stop.
my grandmother, my Nana, would never have been on a Zoom with a.
Right?
She drove. If anything, it was because she drove too slow.
Really?
Yeah.
So she had a perfect driving record.
She didn't start driving until she was maybe 60. And she taught her.
She started driving at 60?
And she taught herself to drive.
Whoa.
Driving back and forth on the road on the street where she lives.
Celeste and I have been working together for almost 15 years. I never knew that story until right now. That's
bless her
amazing.
heart.
Good for her. Okay, let's see what you guys at home think about this. This is going to fire up the chat box. Ready? The state of Virginia has passed a new law that kids probably won't like, but I guarantee you parents and teachers will. It has to do with social media. Starting in January, social media platforms first have to verify the age of the person that's on as they get on. Hey, what's your age?
How old are you?
Correct. And if you're under 16, it's up to the social media app to kick you off after 1 hour.
So I wonder who, after 1 hour.
Correct.
Actually, I like that idea.
Yeah.
I wonder who is monitoring. Who's
1 hour per app per day. So if you get kicked off Instagram, you could probably go to TikTok for another hour.
I would say 15 minutes. They should make it 1 hour total a day.
It should be tighter. I agree.
Yeah. I mean, because if you think about it, I mean, they're trying to make it sound great and everything, but what about 15 minutes each app? 15 for TikTok, 15 for Insta, 15 for Facebook, 15 for X.
Spoken, by the way, like a pretty strict mom.
15 for Snap.
Snap? Are people still on Snap?
Oh my goodness, the kids are only on Snap.
Really? So it used to be Instagram, and then it was TikTok, and now it's Snap.
They don't get phone numbers. They just get Snapchats.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so anyway, the governor signed it, and parents, by the way, can override the limit, but I think a lot of parents probably have been frustrated, would like to limit it, and so now they actually get some help from these apps. We'll see how it works, but there was a study in the Journal of the AMA that found the more social media use in adolescence predicts higher depression rates later on in life. So that's another reason to kind of stick with it. All right, let's see what's going on in the, oh, look at this, would you, Celeste? This is a funny trend I've been noticing lately in the stock market. It starts in the red, a little bit of selling, always a few nervous people. Start the day like, oh, I better sell. And then the next thing you know, it starts climbing, and right now the Dow's up 203 points. The inflation report, Celeste, came in, and it was surprisingly, maybe almost shockingly good. Because I'm still noticing prices go up at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
I know egg prices have dropped a little bit, but not a lot.
No.
Like things are still pricey.
Correct. trying to think what I was just ordering. Now, potato chips. There's an interesting case study in potato chips. If you buy the big name brands, I'm talking big chip.
Okay.
Okay.
Family size
Right.
bags.
I mean, we've heard of big chicken. We've heard of big oil. I'm talking big chip.
Big chip.
Okay, the biggest names out there. And those prices keep going up. And then the store brands keep going down. Now, I don't know what's going on with that, but I can't even buy my favorite anymore.
Are you also seeing a shrinkflation take place as well? Don't you feel like there's less and less chips?
Yes.
Inside the bags.
Or I would say fewer and fewer.
Fewer.
But to each their
Fewer.
own.
No, fewer's correct. Correct me, please.
Anyway, yeah. So the overall news on the inflation front is really surprisingly good. It's up 0.1% in May compared to the month before of April. And then the other thing, year over year, it's almost at 2%, which J.D. Vance now for the first time also took on the Fed today because President Trump's apparently he had a meeting. He called Jerome Powell over to the Oval Office a week or two ago.
What was that like?
I think he got on him about these interest rates.
Yeah.
The housing market is not going to get going again, I think, until rates hit about 6%.
At least.
Okay.
At least,
yeah,
I
maybe
think.
even 5.5.
And people who have those really great rates, I don't think they're going anywhere because where are you going to go? You're going to, you may get a great price on your house, but you're going to have to get another rate.
I know.
Higher rate.
And we have a housing crisis in this country.
We do.
People can't afford to buy houses right now, except, at least here in Phoenix, way out on the edge of town.
Yes.
I'm talking about on the far end of Surprise and on the far end of Apache Junction.
Down to the southeast.
They're building houses like crazy because the land is a lot cheaper, and a lot of the builders are offering, like a 1%, 2%, 3%, 4% interest rates.
That's wild.
Yeah. So
maybe we should buy land way out in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
What do you think, Ron?
Superior.
Right? Arizona.
It's only like 25 miles past Apache Junction.
It's going to be packed before you know it.
Mark my words, sometime in the next 5 or 10 years, you're going to see subdivisions going in Superior because it's so beautiful.
And a Costco. They'll probably have a big Walmart and Costco.
Yeah. If you guys in the chat box are watching from Superior, tell us what you want, a Chick-fil-A or a Costco or some new houses. All right, time for a break. Hi, everybody. Sometimes when I mean to touch my the button for the mic, I turn the camera on. I didn't mean to. I meant to just give you one last look at Annapolis, Maryland. Ooh, we
Wow,
were
look
having a
at
heck
that
of a
beautiful
show.
shot. Look at that dome in the background.
Yeah, it's their state capital, and of course, it's the home of the United States Naval Academy.
Yes.
Yeah. And my relatives, my beloved great aunt and uncle, Hank and Willie, they live right over the hill there.
What's going on, Hank?
Would you look at this chance we have here to visit with Isabella? Celeste, you are not going to believe the convo I had with Isabella right before we went on the show.
Okay.
I said, we're going to run a story that there are 2 restaurants in Spain that are competing to own the title of the oldest restaurant in the world in continuous operation for over 300 years.
Wow.
Now, what do you suppose Isabella said to me afterwards? Do you think she said, I'm going to give you options. A, who cares? B, I've never been to Spain. Or C, 1, 2, 3. Or C, I've been to that restaurant.
I think you're going to say, she said C.
Can you believe it? Isabella, how did this happen?
Yeah, well, I was a freshman in college, and it was my little, freshman year trip with my mom and auntie. So we went to Madrid in Spain, but it was March 2020. And if you remember, that's when the pandemic was starting.
Yes.
So if we would have flown on the next flight back to the United States, we would have gotten locked out because Trump had just put in that European travel ban.
Yes.
So we made it back in the country with like 10 hours to spare.
What was the restaurant? What was the name of it? And what did you have? Do you remember?
Yes. So it is called Restaurante Botín, is one of them that's competing for that title. That's
First of
me in front of
all,
it.
What a fashion statement here by you,
Thank
right
you.
out in front of it. How old is the restaurant?
Well, that restaurant has been open since the 1700s. I believe it was 17 something.
I want to say it was 1703. Something like that.
1725 maybe.
Okay, yeah.
And we had their delicacy, the suckling pig, and I did put a photo of that in there too.
Here we go.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, that's
it
going
was
to be
good.
the next one.
And a lot of people in the chat, they voted.
Oh, there it is.
There
Frankie
it
D,
is.
Alicia, and Michael Lewis all voted C as well. So they knew. Yes.
I'm so glad you guys are playing along with us.
That's the Castilian style suckling pig. That's their delicacy, and they make it in the same oven that they did back in the 1700s.
What makes it Castilian style?
I'm not sure. Maybe
Yeah.
the way they prepare it. That's just
Was
what
it
they
like
put out.
I don't know, like a deeper, richer taste to it, or was it?
It did. It tasted very porky. Because
Okay.
I've had quite a few suckling pigs, and I remember that one was pretty porky.
Really? Another thing we just learned about Isabella, she will be our expert on suckling pigs.
Yes.
Let's see, do we have, is that it for the photos? Just those 2?
No, I
Oh,
have
no.
a photo of the
Oh
inside.
my goodness,
Oh,
that's
look at
beautiful.
that.
Yes, it was stunning inside, but hear this, my mom and auntie are like 5 foot, and the door to the bathroom was shorter than them. They
wow.
had to duck in to get inside of it.
Wow.
So the bathroom, it was so cozy. It was so little, and that photo even makes it look pretty big. But it was
That is a
it was
great
very
photo.
small
How
inside.
beautiful.
And that downstairs level is like underground.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
So
Well-
then is it like a fine dining restaurant? I see there's like tablecloths.
I think that was kind of something we saw at every restaurant in Madrid, but I think since it has so much popularity of that title they're fighting over.
And if you had to literally book months and months in
it took
advance.
us months in advance to book it.
Okay, so the fight is between Casa Pedro, which they claim that they were established in 1702, more than 20 years before Sobrino de Botín.
And that's the one we went to.
And that's the one you went to. So we're on their side.
Yes.
Because you've been there.
Yes.
Yes,
Good.
yes.
That's
our
amazing.
vote.
Now, here, if I were to ask you guys, what is the oldest restaurant in the valley? I better qualify like this, because forever you used to be able to say Montes La Casa Vieja, which was over there kind of by the flour mill on the north end of Tempe. And they were in a building that, I don't know if the restaurant started the same year, but the building goes all the way back to the 1870s.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But they did close a few years ago,
Yeah.
which is a bummer.
Too bad.
But the supposedly the correct answer is, any guesses?
The oldest restaurant in town?
The oldest place to go grab a bite, maybe. You'll know it the second I say it.
Pete's Fish and Chip.
Actually, it's on the list.
Is it really?
Of some of the oldest.
Okay.
I remember when we moved here in 1982.
Wow.
And I started here on this station back in 1982, and that was one of the first things we did was go to Pete's Fish and Chip.
They have the best sauce. It's
They
like
have
a
great
like
sauce.
a ketchup and like hot sauce type mix.
Well, the answer I was looking for is McAlpine's.
Oh, on
Of
7th
course.
Street.
Yes. Yeah. Right up there.
I haven't
Let's
been.
see. They are in the 2300 block of North 7th Street. So up there a little bit past McDowell.
Yes.
On the right-hand side of the road if you're heading north. And they opened, get this, you guys, in 1929.
Oh, my word.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, they've been around for a long time, and there are a couple of different times it's been touch and go whether they were gonna stay in business, but they have, and we love it.
That's
I
incredible.
think they still have like, the booths from the 50s. Like they still have like
Well,
a
the
very
old- yeah.
cutesy inside.
The old-fashioned soda fountain.
Yes.
Right?
We need to check that
so, yeah, that's great.
Had
Now-
you ever been to Monty's?
No. I wish I would have.
Yeah. It was a place that I grew up going to on Sunday afternoons after church.
Really? Aw.
They had the best rosemary focaccia bread.
That
like,
sounds
let us
really
know in the
good.
chat box if you've ever been there. But they had these little rooms. It wasn't like a wide open space, but it was such a great restaurant. It was so good.
Yeah.
Lots of good memories and lots of nostalgia for like folks who've lived in Tempe for a long time. We have a couple of guesses in here, though. People
good.
guessed Durant's.
Yes.
Oh.
I have the answer to that one. Stand
Yes.
by, everybody. We try to do deep research for the streaming show. And I believe the answer is Durant's 1950.
Wow.
They're 75 years in business now.
Yeah, Mastro's, I think, just purchased them, and they're going to renovate.
Okay.
So they closed for a little bit.
Oh.
They said they're going to keep like the very historic part of it. They're still going to let you
Sure.
walk to the kitchen.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's very cool.
I hope they keep the same menu.
Yeah, I do too.
There used to be a restaurant here in town I would love to take out of town visitors called the Pinnacle Peak Patio.
Oh.
And if you walked in, do you remember what they had up in the ceiling, Celeste, at the Pinnacle Peak Patio? Old ties. So you were encouraged, because this was an Old West steakhouse.
Right.
And they actually cooked a lot of them out there on an open grill, and you could smell it, You had to park
nice.
like a quarter of a mile away, and you could just smell it. But if you showed up in a tie, and the trick was you showed up with a friend who just came into town, and you're like, put a tie on.
Yeah.
Come on, we're going to go to a pretty nice place. And we would walk in, and they got that tie chop right off.
Yeah.
And then they put them up in the ceiling, and there were thousands of them at the Pinnacle
my
Peak Patio.
word.
Yeah, very cool.
But along the same lines, we have Harold's. I'm sure you guys have been up to Harold's Cave Creek. 1935.
Really?
Bringing the Old West to life for 90 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. we
That's
love
crazy.
that.
Is Stockyards on that list? Somebody asked in the chat box.
Yes. Who asked, Celeste? Do you remember?
Deanna Nakala asked.
Okay, Deanna, you are so right. Stockyard started in 1947, which was the same year that Pete's Fish and Chips.
1947?
Yes.
And I wonder if Pete's, they've always just taken cash. I
Uh-huh.
wonder if they're still just a cash
Yeah,
establishment.
I wonder, right?
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
Cash is king
These
at
are all,
Pete's.
we're going to write this whole list out for you, Isabella, so you
Yes,
can try
I wanna
them
try them
right?
all.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, anyway, that was a kind of a fun trip down memory lane. That is for sure. I think we are now going to go to the Tasmanian Devil in the snow. Who knew that Tasmanian devils like the snow?
I would have never known.
But I'm going to let Brian roll it here. So this is from Australia, where it's winter time. Look, the ferns right there have the snow. Look, there's a little baby Tasmanian devil. They look more
little hands.
ferocious when they're
Bigger.
older.
Yeah.
But now that I look at it, it almost to me, oh, look right here. Okay.
So this is grown.
Yeah. Look at that. What
Oh.
are they feasting on?
I don't know.
Looks like a carcass.
It
It
does.
does look
It
like
does.
a carcass. Okay, good. We try not to use that word on the show.
Oh, sorry. That is such a carcass. Look at that.
I do have to mention. So my wife just got back from seeing her sister in Albuquerque.
Mm-hmm.
They have a pet snake. It's a boa constrictor. And so she asked, well, what do you feed it? Now, I don't know if this is going to gross anybody else. They went to their fridge, opened up the freezer,
no.
and in boxes, one frozen rat.
Oh, no.
Well, I mean, it's the circle of life.
So they would take it out and just feed the snake the frozen
Yeah,
rat.
here you go. Here's a rat.
Is it like one a day?
Probably.
One rat
Or is it
carcass a
breakfast
day
and
keeps
dinner?
the doctor away.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right, let's see. Just to kind of wrap things up here. By the way, we got Ty and Anita coming up in just a couple more minutes. Do you have any nominations for the new Wonder Woman? Gal Gadot. I think we might have that video here. I'll let Brian punch it. We've moved a bunch of stuff around, so it's just easier for Brian. I think we have.
Here's Brian right here. He's walking by.
Oh, Brian.
He's like, I'm not anywhere
Brian,
to punch it.
get over
Sorry.
Here. Stand in front of the two shot. Come here.
Brian, come here.
Come on.
here,
Just
Brian.
stand in front of the two shot.
There's his hand.
Okay, there's Brian.
Ron's like, Brian's gonna punch it. I'm like,
Brian roll
As
it.
Brian walks by.
there he
Anyway,
is.
where'd that go? Roll it one more time, please. Oh, it's James over there. Maybe it's Glenn. Two of our top guys. Anyway, I guess they're looking for a new superhero, a new Wonder Woman. I don't know why it's not going to be Gal again, but the co-chief of DC Studios confirmed that a new film is in the works, but they haven't cast for it. And who do you guys think? Who would be like a good option?
Who would be a good
any movie star
Wonder
type?
Woman?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's a good question. She was so good at it.
Yeah, she was.
Maybe we should have like no, Isabella.
Sure.
So
what about
sweet.
one of the Kardashians?
What about
Celeste.
Kylie Jenner?
Okay.
You know,
Sure.
She's got the Kai liner. She
Okay.
kind of looks like her a little bit, actually.
A little bit.
She does look like her.
Would you think Kim?
I would go.
Or
What about
Chloe
What
or
about
Courtney?
Dolly Parton? That's my vote. I love Dolly.
Okay, here she comes, everybody.
I'm not even ready.
Really?
Hello.
We
I
only
still
got
have my grandma sweater on.
we only got 30 seconds for
Okay,
your tease. What's
What you
coming
got
up?
coming up?
So, heading out on vacation, how do you protect your house from getting robbed?
Ooh,
We have PD here giving some really good tips.
good.
Yeah.
Okay.
We all worry about that every
You
time.
do,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Not everyone has cameras, and even sometimes those don't work.
Yeah.
Well,
Anything
good,
else?
good neighbors help, I guess.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of top stories today,
Okay,
too.
good.
Yeah.
Good.
All right, sounds good.
Which neighbor
It's
do
good
you
to
rely
see
on,
you.
Celeste, when
yeah.
you guys leave town?
All of them.
Oh, do you? For us, it's the Jacksons right
Hi,
next
Jacksons.
door.
Yeah.
Oh, they're the best.
Heidi and Paco, thank you.
Okay, 2 minutes coming up on YouTube.
It is a very busy Wednesday.
It is
Thanks so much
indeed.
for tuning in.
We got a lot going on. Where do you want to start? We've got notes galore
We have a lot
here.
of
All
notes.
sorts of stuff going on this Wednesday.
We're awaiting a press conference on something that's happening at Scottsdale schools. State Superintendent of Public Instruction Tom Horn and the Maricopa County Sheriff Jerry Sheridan will be talking about some complaints coming in from parents. So we're keeping a close eye on that, and we're going to dip in when that happens. But in the meantime, we want to talk about the everything happening in Apache Junction with the police department there.
I'm keeping my eye on what's happening. It looks like
it
Tom
looks like
Horn
we do
is,
have Tom Horn there.
Just stepping up to the podium.
Are we able to dip in already, Dave? Okay, here we go. We're going to listen in.
That the Scottsdale School District has violated the statement they signed that they would not teach DEI. They adopted a DEI-oriented textbook, or more than one book actually, over parental objections. I'll be giving you details as to why I say that. But before that, let me just tell you who else is speaking. We're very proud that Sheriff Jerry Sheridan is here to speak, and he will speak first because he has to leave for another commitment. Then Jim Hill will speak. Karen Martinson, one of the mothers who brought this to my attention, will also speak. And I want to thank the mothers for bringing to my attention what happened at the Scottsdale School District. They are my source, and I'm grateful to them for that. So we're going to start with Sheriff Sheridan so that he can leave, and then I'll give you detail as to why I made the assertion that I made.
Thank you, Tom. Well, hello, everybody. I'm Jerry Sheridan, your sheriff, and I spent my entire life around law enforcement officers. My dad and my uncles were New York City police officers, and at the age of 18, I joined the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office and spent 40 years there. So pretty much you can say I've been around this business my entire life. So when people take shots at law enforcement, and especially our children, I was very happy to come and speak here and support what Tom Horn is trying to get done. So the law enforcement community is deeply concerned about the mischaracterizations regarding peace officers in our justice system in this current curriculum. Men and women who wear the uniform in Arizona are among the bravest and most noble public servants in this great state. Many are first responders who put their lives on the line each day to keep our youth and our community safe. At a time when law enforcement agencies are expanding their focus and training on things such as community outreach and de-escalation of conflicts, it is counterproductive for schools to push a politically misguided agenda that would make students fearful and suspicious of their law enforcement servants. Any organization will experience bad hires. Law enforcement is no exception. But here in Arizona, we move quickly to remove any officers that do not belong on the street. And I know that firsthand because I spent 12 years on the Arizona Post Board, where we would discipline officers that do things incorrectly against policy, and we would revoke their certifications when we felt that they should never be on the street again wearing a badge and a gun. I know other law enforcement officers have expressed concern about the Savas Scottsdale curriculum that includes things like Campaign Zero, a movement advocating the reduction and defunding of police. And let's look what's happening in LA right now. We cannot afford to defund law enforcement. Public safety is the government's #1 job, and it should be funded to a better extent. I would hope that students are taught the importance of the rule of law and how it makes life in our state and our country so highly desired that people from around the world want to come here. They should understand their rights, our Constitution, and be taught how to respectfully interact with officers. Any school curriculum should be focused on academics and historical facts, not on extreme political charged agendas that are inaccurate and not in the best interest of our students or our communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
And you're welcome to stick around until you have to go.
So sorry, is it okay if we just ask a few questions before you leave?
Sure.
So 2 questions from me. The first is, what part of this curriculum are you most concerned about?
There is several sections in there, like I mentioned with Campaign Zero, reduction, funding police, talking about law enforcement violence. Those kinds of issues are very offensive to anybody that wears a uniform, because we all go to work every day with the best interest of the public in mind. And think about this for a second. One of the most frequent things that a law enforcement officer does is make a traffic stop. And every time an officer, a deputy sheriff, or a state trooper walks up to a vehicle, that is always has the potential for being a dangerous situation. And they do this every day. They run to gunfire when people are running away. They risk their lives. And for people to make a case that we should defund these individuals, we should not trust them, is a gross misstatement.
I will be giving you specific quotations from the book.
Okay.
On this
wonderful.
very topic.
And we've certainly seen with Officer Facio, this week as well, that type of violence. I also wanted to ask you a response to this. Your office has had 2 major homicides. We have the New River homicide, and we also have the Mount Ward with the 2 teenagers. There's been some community complaints. They feel that they haven't gotten a lot of information about this. What would you say to perhaps some critics who would feel upset to see that you're here today at this press conference, but you have yet to hold a press conference on those 2 situations? Yeah,
that's a very easy answer in my book. Our focus is on providing the evidence to convict the individuals that perpetrated these crimes. That's our focus. Now, I know we have to balance a need for the public to know what's happening, but again, when we're not prepared to go out with direct information that maybe only the suspect would have, that we thought that, and believe me, it's been a very difficult situation for us, because I want the public to know what the sheriff's office is doing and how I feel about things. And so this has been a very difficult situation for us to not talk about these crimes. And specifically the crime in New River where the pastor was murdered, that was a very complex case involving several different law enforcement agencies. We've been in contact with the county attorney's office, and until we are prepared 100% to know that it will not compromise the future prosecution of this individual, we're not going to go out with that information. But I think we're prepared maybe this week to hold a press conference. The other case, the 2 young teenagers that were murdered up by Mount Ward, the fact is very simple. We don't have a lot of information other than what we've already put out.
Sheriff, quick question. I'm Craig Harris with 12 News. Have you read the textbook and read over it?
I have not. I've looked through, I haven't read the textbook, but I've seen the excerpts in it.
So in context of that, the Scottsdale Unified District told 12 News that maybe 12, 13 school districts and charter schools use the same exact curriculum, excluding some very conservative ones like Peoria and American Leadership Academy. Why single out Scottsdale when maybe 12 to 13 districts use the same exact curriculum?
Well, maybe they don't understand what's in that curriculum. Maybe they haven't looked at it close enough.
Can I add something? In the case of Peoria, the publisher agreed to take out the woke sections that were objectionable that we'll be talking about here today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sheriff.
But Scottsdale didn't ask them to. I'm talking about the 3 woke members of the Scottsdale School Board, not the whole Scottsdale School Board member, having adopted, not the whole Scottsdale School Board having adopted these objectionable textbooks. And I promise to give you some specific examples. On the main textbook, page 1033, they say well, let me just first say this. There's an interesting propaganda technique. When you want to present something that is one-sided and biased and misleading, and you don't want to say it yourself, you say many people say. But then you don't say what other people say. You just say what many people say, as though that's fact. So here's from page 1033. Many people, including Black Lives Matter activists, argued that these separate events, they're talking about some controversial police shootings, as well as the death of many black people in earlier years, was the result of deeply embedded racism. Well, there are many people in this country who don't think that racism is deeply embedded in this country. And they didn't give a two-sided presentation. They present a one-sided presentation that trying to get students, impressionable students, to believe that racism is deeply embedded in this country. And textbooks for students should be objective and give both different sides. Then at the same page, they say protest marches were generally peaceful, referring to the 2020 riots. Well, we've all seen the video of a reporter saying that these protests were generally peaceful, surrounded by burning buildings and attacks on police officers in the 2020 riots. So that's a very one-sided propagandistic statement without giving, again, different points of view. Page 2025, referring to Ferguson. One witness claimed that before being shot, Brown had raised his hands and said, "Don't shoot." Well, to his everlasting credit, Eric Holder, who was the first minority African-American Attorney General of the United States in its history, conducted an objective investigation and concluded that.
All right, so right now you are listening to a press conference that is ongoing right now with Tom Horn, as well as the Maricopa County Sheriff earlier. And they're talking about some issues that some folks brought up about a specific
Maroney. It's in that rundown.
I didn't take it. All right.
It's right there. Welcome back, everyone. Very interesting topic. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Introduce yourselves.
I'm Sergeant Brian Hoskin with Glendale Police Department, Public Information Office.
I'm Officer Maroni Mendez, same department, Glendale PD.
Awesome.
Same office,
So,
PIO.
so summer's upon us, and one of the things people do is travel a lot. They take longer vacations, and we were chatting a little bit about it yesterday. We have cameras, we have home alarm systems, nosy neighbors that can actually serve a really good purpose. No, I'm saying they serve a good purpose, right? But sometimes those criminals will find their way into your home.
Yeah. So we're kind of talking about, obviously, your home is probably going to be unoccupied. What are some ways and steps that maybe folks need to take before they leave for this summer vacation?
That's a good question. We can go back and forth. There's a few things that we've kind of discussed, knowing that we were coming here today, obviously. And some of those things that were even given to us by some of our property crime detectives who work these types of cases if they do happen. And one of the really off-the-wall pointers that they gave us was make sure your landscaping is well kept and looks like the house is occupied and it's not being neglected and maybe somebody's not there for a long period of time. If you're gone for longer than, say, a few days or a week, like most of us get to do. But, some people leave and go on a European month-long or 2-month-long cruise. So make sure you take care of stuff like that. What else did we talk about?
And it's maybe like little things that people maybe forget too, like forget to pick up their mail, or their newspaper starts to stack up in their driveway,
or
things like that.
Amazon packages, because I'm still ordering Amazon packages when I'm on vacation.
Yeah, you both bring up good points, and that's something that we've also spoken about. Like maybe getting in touch with the post office and having your mail paused or redirected. Also bringing in your recycling or trash bins so it doesn't look like trash is piling up or hasn't been collected. Or maybe after it's collected, the bins are still out. Me personally, I'm going to Mexico next week, and I have a trusted family member that's going to be serving as a house sitter. So that's another thing to consider. Have someone that you trust to come and take care of your home while you're gone. Make it look like someone's there.
I remember growing up, my dad had a little timer on the lamps, like in the living room and the family room, so that they would go off every night at a certain time and then turn off. I don't think people do that anymore, but some of these home systems, you can do it by your phone.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of, and I do it all the time. And shout out to Costco, but they have the Wi-Fi lights that you can control from your phone no matter where you're at. I'm a big fan of that. And, something else that we talked about on the drive over here is we really are proponents of being neighborly. Having know your neighbors. Have relationships in your neighborhood. You're all there to protect each other. Yeah, have cell phones. Share numbers. Share an email at least. Whether you're home or on vacation, it doesn't matter. Like, it's nice to have everybody there on the same team, kind of keeping an eye out for each other. Like you said, maybe nosy. Sometimes it may go a little far.
I meant that in a good way. I meant it in a good way.
And it may go a little far sometimes, but I mean, if you have that right relationship and, hey, we're going to be gone for a few days, we'll let you know, keep an eye.
Some statistics we pulled up. You want to ask
go
your
over
question first?
No, go for it.
Husky Mom is saying to both of you, thank you for your service, Sergeant Hoskin and Officer Mendez. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Husky Mom.
Thank you. If anyone at home has questions about things that you guys can do, I'm sure that we can get you some good tips and answers.
Sure.
June, July, and August are the peak months for burglaries. That sound pretty accurate?
I would say that's probably pretty accurate. Like you said, school's out. People are going on vacations. Those are the nice months to go down to the tropic areas or even some of the colder areas, like colder parts of the world or country. Some people like going up to Yellowstone, that type of stuff. They can't do it during the winter, really. Most of the time it's shut down. So that makes total sense to me. And, people go to the lake. They do whatever they do during the summer, and it seems like there's more availability.
You might be going the same way, but 30% of home break-ins happen during the day. I had a cousin who went to Flagstaff for the day, and they got an alert, looked at the camera. There's someone going through the doggy door. So you may not have to be gone for a very long period of time.
Yeah, no, you bring up a good point. And what's even scarier to think is sometimes these type of break-ins happen when you're home. Not too long ago, we had a string of burglaries where kids were going into unsecured vehicles that were parked outside, getting your garage door opener, clicking your garage door opener, getting access to your home while you're inside. It's something scary to really think about. And, a lot of these times these kids are armed.
I just had like a random question. I don't know if you know off the top of your head, but I was just trying to think, where do you see most of these burglaries physically on the house? Are they coming in through maybe somewhere that's not visible from the street, like the backyard? Are they hopping fences, or like
the doggy door?
Is it hard to say, or is there kind of like one specific, the easy route that these bad guys are trying to take?
It changes all the time, but a lot of times these criminals are trying to get in and get out. They're trying to take that path of least resistance, right?
Sure.
So that example I just gave where they get their garage door opener, it's easy. They're not destroying anything. They're not making any loud noises or anything. So it's just a quick and easy way to get in and get out with, some of your belongings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about kind of deterrence, how you can make it harder for these burglars to get access to your house. I mean, I've got the alarm system, the glass break monitors, all of that kind of stuff. And now they make it pretty cheap. I mean, I've got like the Simply Safe. I know my parents have like the Nest
You're
alarm.
giving all the secrets.
I'm not telling you my alarm code.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't know that you can get a glass break sensor.
Yeah, it can hear the sound of glass breaking, and it will automatically trip the alarm. I've got it all, baby.
Wow.
But like, it's
what if you don't want to or can't spend that kind of money?
But that's what I was saying though.
Yeah.
Like ADT used to be like insanely expensive because they'd come and like wire it up. But now you can do it yourself with some of these kits. Like I have the Simply Safe. My parents have the Nest alarm.
I've seen the Ring one.
Yeah, the Ring one. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's fairly inexpensive to get these.
Cheap.
Even just
you're
cameras.
not wrong, and with cameras you can get you can buy them in single packs, 3-packs, things like that. I think some of the other things though, like we said, simple things like keeping up your property, extra lighting, making sure it's bright, because let's be real, making sure your doors are locked and your garage doors closed at night, those types of things, because if a burglar is showing up and they see a house that's well lit, that's kind of a problem to them. They're going to go next door. Unfortunately, you don't want this to happen to your neighbors, but they're going to go next door to the dark house.
Neighbor.
Yeah, to the nosy neighbor, the dark house, and they're going to take advantage of the weaknesses they see. So, those types of simple things are very helpful.
Husky Mom is laughing at your fortress. LOL, literally.
Listen, you gotta. We do so many stories.
Yeah, I know.
Here, working
Frankie
in the
D
news.
says, "Ty, I got it all, baby." And Husky Mom is asking, and this is something that we actually have a graphic and a list, but PD will patrol. How does that work? If you call them and say, hey, we're going on a cruise to Europe for a month.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I think some of the, I don't know what every PD in the Valley's policies are on that, but that is a possibility. And then a lot of times, maybe they can go do paperwork in front of the house, knowing somebody's gone, the night guys or even day shift. Or at a minimum, they brief on it during their briefing sessions and make sure everybody's kind of aware so they can just do drive-bys or sit in front, whatever. Yeah.
So this is something Glendale PD does?
We don't necessarily specifically do it like it's written in stone.
Right.
Have we done it? Yes, we've done it. But I think we should probably pull up, put something out where it's an easy website thing where you can just maybe put your info in and we can watch it.
It's a good idea.
It looks like we've got a couple of the police departments here within the Valley that are offering this type of service. We've got them up on your screen there, but they kind of do that vacation watch kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just it gives you an added layer and a peace of mind when you're away from your house of knowing that someone knows you're gone to kind of keep an eye out for your home. The other thing I was going to ask you too is alarm systems. Since we're kind of on that, this just happened to my neighbor the other day. Their house is up for sale. The real estate agent came, showed up to the house, tripped the alarm. Obviously, it takes resources away from you guys because the cops then had to show up to the house. Talk about just kind of, are you guys going on a lot of these, I guess, false alarm type calls?
I think we could both talk to that. I don't think residential fake alarms are as common as when we were both on patrol, business alarms. Trip all the time, whether it's a bad sensor or it's somebody coming in and they didn't know the code, and we go to those and it's okay. We'd rather go and make sure that your stuff is protected and everything's safe versus like somebody calling wolf and we're just ignoring it going, oh, it's probably fake. And we take all of those seriously. And a lot of times the alarm companies, before we get to a call like that, have already maybe spoken to somebody on the phone. Hey, I'm sorry, I just don't know the passcode. They'll relay us that information. So maybe then we'll just send one officer or 2 versus 3. So we have ways around it.
This is where I have such a huge appreciation because as you're talking about that, I'm thinking when I hear noise, our alarm goes off sometimes in the middle of the night, and it's there's a reaction and you're terrified, and I'm thinking, gosh, you guys going in, you don't know the house, you don't know the situation, and you guys going in there with that alarm blaring, trying to figure out what is happening, is frightening. It's terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, those alarms can get really loud, and it's just the training that we go through to make sure that we respond appropriately and safely. Because at the end of the day, whether it's a false alarm, whether it's a real alarm, we just want to make sure everyone's safe. Yeah. Our mission in the Glendale Police Department is to protect the lives and property of the people we serve. So we do so bravely. We do so because we love this profession, and we just want to take care of our community.
Sandra Kay is asking, if you are law enforcement, do you let your neighbors know that you're leaving? Very interesting. And Frankie D says, how often do I need to register my alarm, the home alarm, like with PD? I would imagine that maybe that is based on the company, the service.
Here in Phoenix, I have to register my alarm yearly
with the Phoenix PD.
With the Phoenix PD, and I think they charge you like $15 to have your alarm registered with them.
And that means you guys will show up.
Well, I don't know how it works in Glendale.
Okay.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily that we won't show up or not, but I think it's more of a, we make sure we have the correct contact information. If you're out of town, in our CAD systems and our calls for service, where we can go through that and be like, who lives here? All right, we have a good number. Because if you change your number every year and we keep calling the old one, and it's going to be frustrating if we can't get a hold of you and say, hey, we have an open door, what do you want us to do? Or you have a broken window, this is what, we want to let these people know what's going on if that were the case. So maybe it's more for that, there's got to be a little bit of a fee to keep that record, to have somebody who enters that type thing.
And I think it gets me, I think my neighbor didn't have this, but it gives you kind of a get out of jail free card if you accidentally do trip your alarm. They're not going to give you, because I think he was actually charged by the city of Phoenix for
maybe
if I'm not mistaken, we used to do that years ago, early in my career. I remember if there were too many burglary alarms at a given place, you started to maybe get a fine from the city.
Makes sense.
But they eventually went away from that because I think they thought it's really not good business.
Yeah.
People are going to not register. People are not going to have their systems hooked up to these, like ADT or whoever, and they don't want to report it because they don't want to face these fines. So it kind of defeats the purpose of having the burglary alarms.
Go ahead.
Oh, real quick, if we can. Another statistics: most home break-ins take place in less than 10 minutes. They can ransack the house that quick.
Yeah, back to what we were saying earlier. They just want to get in and get out. They don't want any resistance. They don't want any encounters typically, but they are prepared to, maybe use lethal force on the homeowner, which is unfortunate and quite scary.
Well, both of you, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. This is kind of an important topic. Obviously, a lot of people are probably going to take those summer vacations, so this is kind of something that you got to put in the back of your mind to make sure that keeping your house safe and your family safe as well. While
Thank
you're
you.
gone.
We'll see you guys soon.
Yep,
we'll be back tomorrow.
Yep, Thursday.
I can't
find the fade to black button, so we're just going to go to this.
We'll just dance.